Spoilers for A Song of Ice and Fire, A Dance with Dragons, The World of Ice and Fire. The Dragon in Winterfell. No, not that dragon. Well, maybe that dragon. See, it's a matter of interpretation. But I'm talking about a real dragon. Fire made flesh. In A Clash of Kings, Bran 7, Bran is hiding in the crypts of Winterfell while the battle rages above ground. His friends are with him: Osha, Mira, Jojen, Hodor, and his little brother Rickon. But Bran is warging inside of his direwolf, Summer, for the third day in a row, and the chapter begins like this. The ashes fell like a soft gray snow. He padded over dry needles and brown leaves, to the edge of the wood where the pines grew thin. Beyond the open fields, he could see the great piles of man rock, stark against the swirling flames. The wind blew hot and rich with the smell of blood and burnt meat, so strong he began to slaver. Yet, as one smell drew them onward, others warned them back. He sniffed at the drifting smoke. Men. Many men. Many horses. And fire, fire, fire. No smell was more dangerous. Not even the hard, cold smell of iron, the stuff of man claws and hard skin. The smoke and ash clouded his eyes, and in the sky he saw a great winged snake, whose roar was a river of flame. He bared his teeth, but then the snake was gone. Behind the cliffs, tall fires were eating up the stars. All through the night the fires crackled, and once there was a great roar and a crash that made the earth jump under his feet. Dogs barked and whined, and horses screamed in terror. Howls shuddered through the night, the howls of the man pack. Wails of fear and wild shouts, laughter and screams. No beast was as noisy as a man. He pricked up his ears and listened, and his brother growled at every sound. They prowled under the trees as a piney wind blew ashes and embers through the sky. In time, the flames began to dwindle, and then they were gone. The sun rose gray and smoky that morning. So, did you catch the dragon? A great winged snake whose roar was a river of flame. Did Summer just see a real living dragon? Or is this just a fancy description of smoke and flame? That's the million-dragon question, one that's hotly debated among the readers. If it is a real dragon, then I have a lot of doubts. The biggest doubt being, why didn't Bran say anything about the dragon to his friends? If Summer saw it, and Bran was warged into Summer, then Bran saw it too. What kind of 8-year-old doesn't tell his friends about a dragon? I don't know. I think that's the weirdest thing about it, if it is real. I think the dragon is real. Allow me to explain. One of the cool things about the point of view style is that we get to see inside the characters' minds and how they think. The story is establishing a pattern with the way the direwolf thinks about things. Summer thinks of swords as man claws, which makes a lot of sense in the mind of a direwolf, because he wouldn't be too familiar with swords, or non-biological weaponry in general. But he does know what claws are, because he's familiar with claws. Hard skin is how Summer thinks of armor, because he knows what skin is, but he probably doesn't understand armor very well. As with all point-of-view characters, things appear to the reader only in the way the point-of-view character understands them. Man rock is how Summer thinks of a castle, because he has a good understanding of rocks, but a weak understanding of castles. And man pack is how Summer thinks of a group of men, because he's familiar with a pack, but he's probably less familiar with armies. Now, when I apply that pattern to the great winged snake, whose roar was a river of flame, it makes sense that Summer doesn't think of it as a dragon, because Summer has never seen a dragon, and because he can't read stories. But he does know what a snake is, because he's probably familiar with snakes. And he does know what wings are, because he's probably familiar with birds. And he does know what a river and flames are, because he's familiar with rivers and with flames. So there it is. A man claw is a real sword. Hard skin is real armor. Man rock is a real castle. A man-pack is a real army, and a great winged snake, whose roar was a river of flame, is a real dragon. Ha ha ha. The pattern points to the dragon being real, but that raises a lot of questions, like, where in Winterfell has the dragon been hiding all this time? The vault was cavernous, longer than Winterfell itself, and Jon had told him once that there were other levels underneath, vaults even deeper and darker where the older kings were buried. Maybe the dragon was hiding in the crypts, so deep that he never encountered a person. Alright. But then where did the dragon come from? In the world of Ice and Fire, Maester Yandel has this to say. We can dismiss Mushroom's claim in his testimony that the dragon Vermax left a clutch of eggs somewhere in the depths of Winterfell's crypts, where the waters of the hot springs run close to the walls, while his rider treated with Cregan Stark at the start of the Dance of the Dragons. As Archmaester Gildane notes in his fragmentary history, there is no record that Vermax ever laid so much as a single egg, suggesting the dragon was male. The belief that dragons could change sex at need is erroneous, according to Meister Enson's Truth, rooted in a misunderstanding of the esoteric metaphor that Barth preferred when discussing the higher mysteries. Vermax left a clutch of eggs somewhere in the depths of Winterfell's crypts, where the waters of the hot springs run close to the walls, so maybe Mushroom was right. I will say, I don't like how Maester Yandel here is telling me what to think. I'll decide what I can dismiss. Thank you very much. Alright, maybe the dragon is Vermax Jr., and the hot springs kept the egg warm until it hatched. Or maybe not. I mean, who would ever doubt the truth of a book named Truth? I know what you're thinking. Alright, wise guy. Then what did the dragon eat all this time? There ain't no food down there. Sansa kept looking at the stubby little candle, anxious that it might go out. Old Nan had told her there were spiders down here, and rats as big as dogs. Robb smiled when she said that. The dragon was eating spiders when he was a baby, and then baby rats, and then rats as big as dogs. But that's just a story. Old Nan is always making up stories. Well, let's look at one of Old Nan's stories to see if Old Nan is credible. That made Arya remember the stories Old Nan used to tell of the giants who lived beyond the wall. He's a giant, a real true giant, like from the stories. But why does he talk so funny? It seems that some of Old Nan's stories turn out to be true, so maybe the story about the giant rats in the crypts is true too. But dragons are noisy. Wouldn't somebody have heard it moving around? Hunting giant rats and growling and stuff. Old Nan had told her there were spiders down here, and rats as big as dogs. Robb smiled when she said that. There are worse things than spiders and rats, he whispered. This is where the dead walk. That was when they heard the sound, low and deep and shivery. Baby Bran had clutched at Arya's hand. When the spirit stepped out of the open tomb, pale white and moaning for blood, Sansa ran shrieking for the stairs, and Bran wrapped himself around Robb's leg, sobbing. Arya stood her ground and gave the spirit a punch. It was only Jon, covered with flour. You stupid, she told him. You scared the baby. But Jon and Robb just laughed and laughed, and pretty soon Bran and Arya were laughing too. A sound, low and deep and shivery. Did Jon make this noise to scare the other kids? Or was that the sound of a dragon from somewhere deep in the crypt, forgotten in the excitement of Jon's prank? Or perhaps mistakenly attributed to Jon? Bran and his friends finally come out of hiding and exit the Winterfell crypts. The wooden door was very heavy, and Hodor made a ruckus as he opened it. We made enough noise to wake a dragon, Osha said, but there's no one come. The castle's dead and burned. Now, I don't think the fires or the Battle of Winterfell woke the dragon, or hatched it for that matter. I think it's been alive for a long time, but I do think this is a case of Osha doesn't know how close to the truth she is. Ha ha ha. So what do you think? Did Summer see fire and smoke, or did Summer see a dragon? Fire made metaphor, or fire made flesh?